But before we do that, we actually had a question from Three Rusty Nails, which I'm just going to read out. Um, so it's basically a couple of different questions. I'll shorten what was said, but one of them was sort of what comes first, knowledge or belief, and the other was can you choose your belief? So the way I'd say it is we first need to unpack what a belief is. So there's a few different definitions of belief. They all say exactly the same thing in different ways, though. So it's something you accept as true, something you think most likely or probable, a positive attitude towards a proposition. So when we've discussed propositions before, that's something that's true or false. So if I say, the light switch is on, and you go, yes, the light switch is on, that's your positive attitude towards a proposition. So that's all it is. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're saying it definitely is true. Just what you think is true. You're not making a truth claim there, or at least not a definitive one. You're saying, yeah, I think that's about right. It could come in various degrees of certainty. Knowledge is a little bit more of a tricky one because there's a number of different theories of knowledge, but they all essentially define belief as knowledge as a more rigorous form of belief. The most common one that you'll hear out there on the internet is probably the justified true belief. So in that sense, it's a belief, something accepted as true, that is true, and you have justified it. So your justification can be a number of different things. It could be evidence, it could be reasoning, the rules of logic, verification, a number of different things. Having a good understanding of the topic that you might say that you've got knowledge of. That's another thing. Have I left anything out there, Dave?
No, sorry, you keep cutting in and out. I've just had to reset my audio completely, and I can hear you properly again now.
Oh, that's good.
But from what I could hear, yeah, it sounded all right.
Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, if you're interested on that knowledge part, then we actually have a video in our Fresh Air playlist on, so not Fresh Air Sci-Fi, Fresh Air, on YouTube or on our site. So you can either watch the video or download the PDF and listen to the audio or whatever. And we go into the different theories of knowledge, but essentially a knowledge is a more rigorous form of belief. So from that, what comes first? Well, a belief will come first. Then you might build it up and gain knowledge. Now that knowledge could inform another belief. In fact, your beliefs could inform other beliefs too. So when you think about it that way, they're all sort of entwined. It's all cognitive processes going on. So in answer to your first question, belief comes first, then knowledge, but knowledge can inform other beliefs. So the next question you had was, can you choose your belief? Now, the short answer to that is no. You can't choose your belief. So a belief is something you accept as true, but why do you accept it as true? Because you've been convinced that this thing is true. So say you read an article about the effects of global warming and a number of different studies, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, yeah, global warming is real. You've been convinced by the article. You didn't choose that you were going to believe in that. You can't suddenly go, do you know what? I'm going to believe I fly. It doesn't work that way. You'd have to have something happen that made you believe that you can fly. So you can, however, once you have a belief, only choose to find things that back it up. Or if you want to go down a certain path, you could also choose material about things that you want to believe and only look at one side of the argument. You could almost Pavlovian dog your way into believing something. So from that regard, meh, but would you really call that a choice? You're choosing how you're going to interact with the belief and the information to inform your belief. You're not really choosing I am going to believe this. I can't suddenly turn around and say, do you know what, tomorrow for the entire day I'm going to believe in God. If you want to ask yourself if you can actually choose to believe something, try that. Try believing in God, or try believing that Spider-Man is actually a real character in the real world that goes around saving people in New York. See if you can. I think you'll find that you can't unless you've got some really powerful hallucinogenics.